In this lesson, we will be writing a natural language processor with machine learning. So let's review. Artificial intelligence is a branch of computer science that allows computers to make predictions and decisions. Underneath artificial intelligence is machine learning, and that's what gives computers the ability to automatically learn with experiences without having to be explicitly programmed. So in the previous lesson, we had to explicitly program our natural language processor to look for the words good and great, bad and unhappy, to understand what the article sentiment was. Natural language processing enables a computer system to read and understand and process user communication in their own language. So it allows users to talk to a computer in their own language, and the computer can understand what they're asking. And sentiment analysis, that's one of the functions of natural language processing, and that analyzes opinions in written text and categorizes them as either positive, negative, or neutral. So in this lesson, we will be using an NLP with machine learning to analyze text and categorize as positive, negative, or neutral. So kalas and batas. Here are a bunch of kalas, and here are a bunch of batas. So what shape is this? What would you say that this shape was? You're probably going to call it a kalas, right? These are just made up gibberish words. And how sure are you? Well, I'm pretty sure because it's very pointy and this is very curvy, so it would have to be a kala. So that's why I would pick that shape to be a kala. And then here are some other nonsense words. Take a moment, pause the video, and then add your comments on the slide as to what the pataskli word means and the YMSA word. What do those mean in the context of these sentences? So if you use the star rating, you probably figured out that this word meant great, right? This movie is great because it was given 5 stars. It's the most amazing thing I've seen in years. This movie was only given 1 star, so probably this word means hate or I don't like. I don't like this movie. And then if we guessed how many stars this movie would be, if we plugged in those meanings, we could say all movies should be as great as this one. I don't understand how anyone can hate it, right? That would probably be a 5-star movie. So how do we know, how could we figure out what a bala and a katas was, right? So we use context and previous knowledge to identify both those shapes and the nonsense words, right? We use context to figure that out. Machines use other words in the document to predict what a word will be. And so we're going to be creating an NLP program to do analysis with machine learning. And we're going to use a new Python library called TextBlobs. And that's just a simple API, and it has methods to perform the basic NLP tasks. So we're not going to be actually writing the NLP algorithms. They are already written in this library called TextBlobs. And then a text blob is just like a string that we've already used in Python, so we'll just kind of manipulate it like a string. So we can use these text blob functions to find out all of the nouns, tag different parts of the speech, find sentiment, and so much more. You can actually go online and look up the TextBlob library, and it'll show you all the functions that come with it to analyze the text. And TextBlob sentiments have 2 properties. One's called subjectivity and one's polarity. So subjectivity means it measures how much something is fact versus opinion. So if you get a score of 0, that means it's very objective, it's factual. And a 1 would be very subjective or opinion. And then polarity measures the strength of that opinion. So if your score turns out to be a -1, that means very negative opinion. 0 is neutral and 1 is very positive. So we're going to open this notebook and make a copy and then follow the instructions. And then I'll get you started, and then you'll come back and post any interesting findings as a comment on this slide. So we'll open this up, and then don't forget to make a copy. Now that you have your copy, you're ready to start running this program. So first we're going to install the TextBlob library. And then we're going to import some of the functions and some of the code that we need. Then we're going to identify all of the noun phrases in a certain text using noun extraction. So I'll go ahead and run that. And you can see computer science is the noun. And you can copy other text in here and try it out. And it may not be perfect because the algorithm is not 100% perfect. And then we can tag parts of speech. I have this Beatles song, and it will go through and identify the parts of speech for every word. So you can see that NN represents a noun singular, NNS is a noun plural, and there are other codes for the different parts of speech, and you can look those up online if you want. But this will go through and identify all of the different parts of speech. And then for sentiment analysis, there's no explicit coding that tells whether this is a positive, negative, or neutral. It just has different formulas built into it to determine, which words go together, if that makes a positive or a negative or a neutral. And there's a lot of machine learning that goes behind this. So I can run this. It gives me a polarity of 0, and a polarity means that it's a neutral statement, right? It's right in between the 1 and the negative 1. And then a subjectivity is it's a number close to 0. And so a number close to 0 is very objective, it's factual. So go ahead and try different sentences to see what the polarity and subjectivity come up as. And then post your thoughts as a comment on that slide. So now we're going to write an NLP program with machine learning to analyze movie reviews. So it's just like the one that we used before, but we're going to let the machine learning code in TextBlob do the work for us. And so what I want you to do is to use some of the same reviews that you used in the other program for this program and compare them. How do they compare? And then you may want to add some other if-else's within your code to print out what the subjectivity score actually indicates. And then you're going to add a link to your notebook as a comment on this slide. So you're going to go up here. Don't forget to make a copy. And then go ahead and share it so that anyone with the link can view. So I'm going to change it to anyone with the link and then can be a view. And then that's the link that you'll copy and put as a comment on the slide. Okay, so again, you're going to install one of the libraries that we'll need and do our imports. And then here is our code. So this again will point to a movie review link on the Roger Ebert site, and we'll download it. And then we're going to create a text blob from that text. And after we've created the text blob, then we can look at the subjectivity and sentiment scores, right? So we'll assign a variable called sub, the subjectivity score, and then we'll assign the variable pol for the polarity. And then I'll go ahead and print those out. And I would go ahead and add another if-else statement to print out what the subjectivity means, right? So instead of a number, have it print out whether it's opinion or fact. And as soon as you're done, go ahead and post a link to your notebook as a comment on the slide. Okay, welcome back. So we've written 2 sentiment analysis programs, one with machine learning and the other without. And so I want you to open this Jamboard and add post-its with your thoughts for the following questions. And don't forget to add your name on the post-it. But what worked better with the machine learning than without? What sorts of things flagged a review as positive? And what sorts of things flagged a review as negative? How would you recommend someone write a review for a movie? What words would you tell them to use? Would you trust a machine to tell you if an article is positive or negative? So you really need to go figure out which words and which combination of words we're flagging articles as positive and then negative. Like try to figure out what the machine learning algorithm was actually doing. So again, you just click on the sticky note, you can change the color and then add your thoughts, and don't forget to add your name.